Hey guys, welcome to my video. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the trip that I took to Mount Rainier with my housemate and my dog Nora. So let's get started. The reason why we kind of went was because Annika, my housemate, kind of always has like a backup plan for just in case it blows, and like where we need to, like how we need to escape. And we've been thinking about going to Rainier for a bit, but because of, like the seismic activity, we thought that it'd be really perfectly lined up for this project that we went. So let's get into the science behind Mount Rainier and what makes it so unique. So although it was originally named Mount Reginier from the Lewis and Clark expedition, it actually is an active stratovolcano, not necessarily a mountain. A stratovolcano is a volcano that is composed of three main layers: hardened lava, tephra, and volcanic ash. These volcanoes are characterized by a steep profile with periodic explosive eruptions. The lava that flows from them is extremely vicious and incredibly hot, as one of the tour guides that we were listening to told us. I feel like you don't have to say that, but he did. And it has very explosive eruptions. The lava that flows is, thankfully for us that we live in Washington, that I go to school in Washington, it cools and hardens before spreading very far. But it is a 14,411 foot tall stratovolcano, which makes it the highest mountain in the Cascade Range and almost the highest mountain in the continental United States. It is said that Rainier most likely stood taller before an avalanche over 5,000 years ago had occurred, thus shrinking the size. I feel like a common misconception about Mount Rainier is just that people don't pay attention to it, or that it's just kind of there for your Instagram stories and stuff. But I definitely think that Mount Rainier is still a very active volcano that is watched very closely by researchers, yes, in the Pacific Northwest, but also continentally and internationally. I think even though that the last eruption was in 1894, the worry now is that if it were to erupt, its 26 major glacial ice formations, or lahars, could potentially flood the entire Puyallup River Valley, which is something that definitely affects, like, socioeconomically, a lot of Washington. Over 150,000 people currently live on old glacial deposits, and that came from previous eruptions. So with the ever-growing, ever-expanding concern of seismic activity in the PNW, I think it brings to question how prepared are we as individuals, as a sub-economy of the United States, if it were to erupt. So if it erupted as powerful as potentially Mount St. Helens in 1980, I think the damage would be considerably greater when just comparing the size of the two mountains alone. Now, in 2019, so many communities and towns have centered themselves around the base of Mount Rainier that all could be potentially destroyed if it were to blow. While heading towards the park, we saw that the standard NPS signage about the different protected forests and multiple entrances from the park. But it wasn't until really we were leaving the park on the southwest side of the mountain that we actually saw volcano eruption route signs. Overall, when arriving at the Paradise Summit, the park's main visitor attraction, like the main area where everyone goes, it was still overwhelming how large the peak of the mountain really is, to be totally honest. At Paradise, they have an inn, and the newly renovated property there like makes it really nice, and Paradise Jackson Visitor Center, which like tells you about the history about the mount. But I think that the development of the parks and the facilities up there really helps people understand the science behind it, which is really cool. That definitely helped me out a little bit. While leaving the park and heading home, I couldn't help to think that, like, what would happen if the disaster happened like right then and there. And as of right now, we don't really have any automatic alert systems for if it were to blow, like, or if an earthquake happened and something were to occur after that. So it's definitely something that you like think about when you're there. According to the Pierce County website, they encourage residents to have an emergency kit packed with them at all times on their person or in their car and their home, with enough supplies to survive for potentially a couple of weeks and to protect yourself from volcanic ash. because that's usually one of the biggest. People can survive the actual disaster, but that's one of the main reasons, causes of death. It also instructs people to have an emergency radio and the 511 number saved on their phone for emergency travel information. While these are all great resources to have in case it blew, after leaving the park, I still think that there's a lot more that we need to do, just sort of as a collective, and also and that means locally and federally, to construct a more effective communication solution for emergency broadcasting needs, or some sort of, well, yes, I think we set up a response team rather well, a response to natural disasters pretty well. I think really focusing on preventative or even in the moment occurrence stuff, I think that's something that's really essential, and definitely something that I noticed on my trip there. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed Rainier. She's a beaut. Definitely would recommend going if you didn't get to go. And yeah, thank you.